Welcome back. This is Still the Press, and we're reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We've now been joined by our guest, Engineer Toba Owojaiye, to help us analyze on most of the headlines we just read out to you. He's a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the studio.
Good morning once again.
Good morning. Great to have you join us this morning.
I like this dress.
Thank you. Viewers, a reminder that our phone lines are now open for you to call in and join the conversation as it progresses. Let us know what's happening at your end. Let's know if you now have lights, and let's know if the strike action affected you in any way. How are you doing today?
Good. I was finally able to iron around 4 a.m. So.
That was how I was restored.
Yes.
I can imagine, but not everybody can say the same thing. Some persons don't even have light yet. I think where I saw some posts on social media, and they had a lot to say in the virtual streets. In fact, I don't want to talk about them yet.
They're in band F.
Exactly. I don't want to talk about the social media space yet because there's a lot down there. But let's talk about what happened in the last 2 days with the labor strike. What do you make of it, especially going as far as stopping essential services?
To be honest, that is what they should have done. They did the right thing, because if you want the government to hear you, you have to make sure everybody stops, and then the government knows the impact that every single staff is making on the economy. But in my opinion, what they should have done a grand standstill for should have been made this time last year when the president removed subsidy. This was where they should have done a complete 2 weeks standstill of every single part of the economy. Every single part of the economy should have been held hostage, and the president would have reverted on subsidy immediately, and then will have put palliative in place, and the economy wouldn't have been rebased like this. Now, this is already done. We have not seen any policy that they are asking for to be changed. We're only hearing of money. And that's very weak, because once there's no change in the policies, then we're just asking for more pay that will find itself back in the economy and will still lead to more inflations. If we don't fix food production, if we don't fix security, if we don't fix those things
that are the triggers.
Yes, even if you are paid 200,000, we'll just have to, the bread you are buying for 1.6 now will now become 3,200 in 3 weeks time. So it's beyond the salary. This is what we need to make people understand. It is beyond just pay. It has to include policies. Yes, it was hard to see hospitals shut down, lights shut down, a complete shutdown. But that was what made them get the result that fast. If they had a partial shutdown, I don't think we'll have been able to get the president's full attention, and everyone won't have been on board on it. Okay,
talking about getting the president's full attention and talking about looking at that essential service aspect, you know, it's against the law. If you look at Trade Union Act, Section 30, we have provision of strike actions in essential services. It says no person, trade union or employer shall take part in a strike or lockout in respect of any trade dispute where the dispute involves persons employed in essential services. Now, essential services are services like electricity services, water supply services, health services, air traffic control, telecommunications, and security services. Because first of all, when you talk about electricity, it's like the security aspect of the nation. That's like putting us at a huge risk by shutting down the national grid. Now, there are conversations that in the past, under Shagari's government, this had happened before. But what happened? There was a jail term of 25 years. But under Buhari's government, it was like something that could just pass. And now the same thing has happened again, throwing the nation into some sort of a risk. Why take this kind of risk, and what do you think the government of the day should do? I want to know your position on this.
The position of the law is clear. Like airlines too lost a lot. It was a major loss for Nigeria. My problem is, yes, it's will I call it an illegal ground. It was done for a trivial matter. That's what I'm saying. If they had done this for policies and had done this for subsidy at the beginning, then we'll have known what we're fighting for. It would have been, though illegal, we'll say, okay, it was worth it. We got something major as a nation. What we're only getting is a pay raise that can be wiped off in 4 weeks. Whoever get in, let me assume that we are now paid minimum wage of 120,000. Let me assume that. Everything is going to skyrocket. Your rent is going to go up. Your bills are going to go up. Transport is going to go up. Everybody believes that there's more money in your hand. Whether you are, and the people who who benefit directly from government in this minimum wage are no more than 15 million. And you're in a country of over 200
I was going to say
million.
that the percentage of those that are supposed to benefit from both states and federal level are not even up to.
They are less than 15%.
Exactly. They're not. Should we even say 10% of the entire population? So why ground the entire nation for something that is not even going to benefit the entire country? And now insisting that this is the minimum wage, even if you say that you have an association of even private sector to work alongside you and discuss this, have these conversations, it simply means that if Labour is asking, I think Labour's initial ask was 615,000 naira. And then they came down to 497,000. And then came down to 494,000, which is unrealistic.
Yes.
So are you saying that on the list, if you are to hire a maid in your accommodation, you should have to pay your maid the least salary of 494,000 naira in a month? How is that supposed to work?
You see, Nigerians and a lot of people don't see it as minimum wage.
They call it living wage.
They see it as minimum wage that government must pay.
Okay.
So most of the people agitating for it are not looking for it for a company to pay their staff. No, they're holding the government to pay this. And what we are trying to say is that a minimum is supposed to work for every sphere of the economy.
Of course.
So for me, what I expect the president and the Ministry of Information to do is to state the illegality of the extent this strike went. Don't downplay it. Let the media houses stress it. Let it play on and on that shutting down lights, shutting down all essential services is illegal in a strike. Let this be known by the masses, not by the elites, not by the journalists. Let this be known by all Nigerians. But part of why we are also happy, we know that the faster, if that happens, the faster it happens, the faster the government will answer. Because most of the people who are complaining were only complaining about the light and the hospitals. That was all people were complaining about.
Yes.
If the hospitals and the lights and water was running, some people have not minded to stay at home for 2 weeks because they'll still be, you see, they'll still be paid whether they strike or not. If you strike for 1 month, you are still paid. So that's flexing time for some people in their houses. You know,
because you mentioned the legality of this, I still keep thinking about the fact that even hospitals, there was no lights for them to have access, for them to work. You imagine that there are people that live on oxygen.
Of course.
And there are some hospitals that don't have all the facilities that they need. So this power supply is what helps them. So you mean people should die because you want extra pay? Now, I'm looking at, it's not just about the going on strike now.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
It's about the substance of the strike. Why conduct this kind of detrimental strike that can put the supposed citizens that you claim to be protecting, you're putting their lives at stake? Do you think maybe the NSA should also come out to do something or take some actions in this situation? Do you think that other arms of government should come out to say something, or the legislators? Okay, there are conversations that they are now talking to tighten law against, strike actions. Do you think there should be more to be done away from just signing treaty that nothing is going to happen to all the labor members that were involved in some of these actions? Do you think they should just allow them go scot-free like that?
For this one, I think they'll go scot-free. But you see, what we are looking at is,
okay,
what if the government offers, let's say, 80,000 this week, because it's just a 5 days suspended strike. If the government offers 80,000 and the NLC decides to still go on with the strike, then they will lose the goodwill of the people. You see, the greatest currency in politics is goodwill. The moment you lose goodwill, you are in trouble. The NLC, you start seeing parts of NLC start pulling out. We don't want to be part of this, and we don't want to be part of this. Once that start happening, you become fragmented and you lose your strength. So they should be wise. Like we have mentioned here many times, You see, when a strong organ of society like this is an arm of a political party, these are the things that come to play. You cannot remove the fact that Labour now sounds politicized.
Oh, thank you.
This cannot be shoved under the rug. This if 80,000 is being offered this week and Labour starts another strike on Monday, this will be called an affront and a hoodwinking of government and witch hunting of government to make
government look
bad and call for a revolution. And that's not what we need now. Things have started working. Let's see how Dangote refineries come on board. Let's see how we begin to refine fuel. In my opinion, if they ask for advice, I will have waited for Dangote refinery to start refining fuel. 1 month after that, that's when I will have come for my strike. My strike will not be minimum wage. My strike will be, now that we have fuel refined here, we want fuel to be sold at 300. If fuel is sold at 300, if you offer me salary of 120,000 or fuel at 300, I will take fuel at 300.
All right, let's quickly take this call before we proceed on the conversation. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. You're welcome to the press, Mr. Akim.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to your analyst there.
Morning, sir.
Let me quickly, let me be objective here.
Okay.
Even though for APC, but I need to be very objective. First and foremost, it seems like the administration of APC, I mean the president, there are certain promises that they made, even though I know it's not easy. But before they make any promise, they should also know that they are capable of accomplishing it at the right time.
Yes.
Now, that is that. I don't want to, because if I should go there, there's no time. Now, coming down to the NLC, like your analyst said there is element of politics in what they do. Now, for even an idiot in Nigeria knows that Nigeria has been paying for subsidy through borrowing. Nigeria economy cannot continue that way. And also, the government themselves, they are not explaining as they are supposed to be explaining to the masses. So many people don't know that we borrow to pay subsidy. That's the fault of the government on that side. The Labour are taking advantage of that. Now let me ask the NLC. The NLC are going on strike because they want their minimum wage to be added. Now let's talk about the Labour. Only federal Labour is going to benefit. Yes, we know the kind of country we are. The last time they did it, only benefited the federal labours, but the state government, they never fought for them. And what about the private organization? I'm not talking about a multinational company or whatever. I'm talking about those graduates that are underemployed.
Entrepreneurs.
That is the kind of private organization I'm talking about. Those that are paid 20,000 naira, not even up to the minimum wage.
The major contributors to the economy, of course.
Yes.
Oh my God, I think we lost him there. Please, if you could call us back. He said quite a lot, even though the network took him off. You know, talking about how many persons benefit, a lot of states have not even moved away from 18,000 naira minimum wage.
Yes, some have not. Many have not started paying 30,000 as it stands.
And we're talking about 494,000. So what happens to those states? Because that's what they're stating clearly, that, oh, it's just the federal level that actually benefits some of these things that you do. What happens to those state governments? What happens to those private businesses, the major contributors to the economy? We're not talking about multinationals, like he said, because multinationals will definitely be part of this and probably upgrade their pay and make the payment available. But what happens to private organizations? Maybe you have your own organization. It means that you have to pay your staff that amount. So what about all those people?
Like I said, Nigerians don't really expect anybody outside the federal government, the state government, and multinationals to be held accountable to minimum wage. I'm not saying this is the law, this is the Nigerian experience. So whenever you these are the people Nigerians are targeting. So this is my point. What I expect the NLC, people keep mentioning the senator earns 29,000. Pay slip of the last essay to Buhari got leaked on social media where he was earning 876,000, and people were shouting, "How can an essay?" I said, "It's an essay to a president. It's not a pensionable position. He's an essay to the president." Some
private organizations even pay far more.
There are banks that pay higher than that.
Of course.
But of course, you see, the issue is the National Assembly and our leaders are in a situation where they are feeding fat while the people are hungry. It's like being in a family and you declare fasting and your father is eating. So that's what is offending Nigerians. It's not so much what is happening in their account. It's the fact that senators got SUVs, senators got jeeps, senators got this amount of money. So I expect the NLC to target that. See if they can reduce the senators' bill by 20%. Make that is something to go for. But don't push the country to where we cannot be productive. Without us being productive, we can't make, even if we call for this pay, without us being productive, we can't get it. We can't get it if we are not productive. If we are productive, then things will work well. Without that, we're wasting our time.
You know, there are conversations that this particular labor union have actually derailed when they decided to have a political party. You know, it's now they now have a political affiliation. So it simply means that priorities will no longer be priorities. And that's why people feel like they should tackle the root cause of problems and not just go to the surface and try to paint other pictures in the name, well, according to the Senate president, saying it's an economic sabotage and more like political drama. What's your take on that?
Well, no, I won't go too much in that direction because the government is partially to be blamed. The fact that subsidy was removed without palliatives, the economy has not headed in the right direction, though we are seeing some great infrastructure from Umahi, Wike, and others, but it has not affected the rice on my plate. It has, so with more spending, with less cash on your hands, as the masses, the more they complain. The masses are the people who actually complain. The elites, let's say if I'm elite, I have 400 million in my account, there's nothing that's going to bite me. I'm just going to either make my staff work more, or I'm going to change my investment. I will not be washed up. I will still be okay. I may not be as rich, I may not make as much, I'll still be okay. But if I was earning 50K and I have 4 kids, as the country has gone 1 year, I'm either in debt, or I've sold my car, or I have my washing machine not working and I can't fix it. I'm owing school fees, I'm owing house rent. So these are all the frustrations that people have now. We need to understand that people are generally frustrated. And then politicians will always pry on frustrations. I said last time I was, one of the times I was here, they asked IBB that about the coup. IBB said we could have done the coup 1 year earlier, but the people were not angry enough. Let me say that again. We could have pushed for the coup 1 year earlier, but the people were not angry enough. So politicians watch. How angry are the people? If the people are angry enough, we can get a demonstration. We can get a revolution. If we take over power, they will not be angry with us. So all of these things are the settings that we are already in now. If military takes over on Monday, I can assure you that half of Nigeria will not be offended. We can get angry for 3 days. But if those ones start reducing pay, people will be happy. See, so you need, the government has to watch it.
Never say never, because the attitude of Nigerians.
That's what I'm saying. That's why the president did not allow the strike go on for more than 2 days. That man is brilliant. He may not be good at everything, but politics and reading things, the man is very good, second to nobody. So he says, no, let's not drag this. Let's have 5 days suspension. Within these 5 days, minister come up with something else. I'm sure they must have even agreed on something already. But they'll just give this space of time, let people breathe according to his words, and I'm sure they'll stop at maybe 80,000. They'll take a rest. Ghana must goes may move around, and then everybody comes down for another 3-4 months.
Indeed, Ghana must goes may move around. You know what I'm looking at? If we're looking at the hardship in the country, is it minimum wage or living wage that actually solves it? Because, for example, you go to the market, Gari that you used to buy for 300 naira per mudu, it becomes 1,500 or even higher. Bread you probably buy for 700 becomes 1,800 or 2,000 naira or even higher. And the little things you can afford becomes things that have become desirable, but they are no longer available to your reach. Is it living wage or whatever Labour calls it that solves the problem?
No, it doesn't, but you see, the masses do not understand and think like the elites. Remember that the people on the minimum wage pushing this are not rich people. So the person hears, I'm earning 18,000 now, and the government can get me to earn 200,000 by my next paycheck. His mind begins to blow on all the things he can buy and the life of luxury he can live in the next 30 days. That's how he thinks. He's not saying that what he's going to buy is going to triple. That's not how he's seeing it. He's just saying, just let me get that money first. When I get that 200, I know what I'll do. You understand? So that's how they see it. And you can understand. You can't beat a child and tell the child not to cry. I tell the child how to cry. So for someone earning 18K, he would want to hold 200K. Even if you say things will get expensive, let me still hold 200,000. That's how it's seen on the streets.
Anyway, so under the same conversation, still on the same conversation, Labour is saying they will not accept extra 3,000 naira increase. We know the federal government likes the extra 3K thing from 54 to 57 to 60. So I believe that's where that conversation is coming from. That they won't take additional 3,000 naira increase. And then we have Mogalu conversing for between 75 to 100K, because he also believes that 494K is not.
And any sensible person cannot even ask for 150.
So let's get your thoughts on what is realistic, affordable, and acceptable.
See, 4 months ago, I've already...
I think you said something around 72,000.
72. And I believe when the government ends at 72...
If the government will end at 72, it means that you had a backdoor meeting.
No, it means people should come and bow and bend before me for being always on point.
Perfect.
You see, you need to understand government. You need to understand the people. You need to understand the economy. I know what government can pay. Truly, if government goes to 80, government would struggle. Government would struggle. 80,000, government would struggle. Even 60, they'll pay it. But you see,
so even still struggling with meeting up with OPEC benchmark of 2.5 million barrels per day. We're still on 1.9.
Yes.
And we're struggling, and we're insisting that this kind of wage should be paid to workers.
So I believe we'll end at 72. I've always had that inclination from 3 months
even the
back.
72,000, is it realistic?
Is
it even affordable?
Since Obasaki,
across all sectors.
Since Edo State governors has done that, he has not died.
Edo State government did
70.
that, but can Edo State private sector businesses do that in Edo State? I've been to Edo State. I have lived in Edo State. I know what businesses are like in Edo State, and I know that private organizations cannot even afford even 40,000 naira. Some of them cannot afford 40,000 naira, except maybe on some other cases.
You see,
so how many businesses?
I need to say this again to you, that when people hear minimum wage, there is no way that the government has ever enforced any punishment on private businesses for not paying minimum wage in Nigeria.
Even states. So maybe we should begin to look at those
directions. That's what I'm saying. This is the first thing.
To adjust some things.
That's why it doesn't bother those people, because there's nothing that has ever been done to any business or state that didn't pay minimum wage. It has always been federal government. So let me tell you what is actually playing. The federal government is the one under this demand. Once we understand that, we have peace. Let the federal government pay it. Any state, if a state can pay 60, they should pay their 60. If you can't pay their 60, NLC should go and picket the state. By the time NLC has to picket 24 states, they'll have enough work to run around on. So let the federal government go up a bit and let's see.
In as much as I'm very optimistic, but it does look like even in the next 1 week, we might still be going on another strike.
No, I don't. You see, where it stays, once NLC starts losing goodwill, NLC, like I told you, they are politicians. They also know when they are losing goodwill. Once the people are backing you,
but shouldn't they don't you think that at this point they've already lost their goodwill? Because whatever it is that they did even affected students that were writing exams, affected hospitals.
They have not lost.
Even affected,
they have not entirely.
I don't know why Nigerians did not lose, because if you had anything in your fridge, they must have been going bad, except you went to buy fuel.
That's what I'm saying. So they have not lost goodwill. If they had done a 1 week strike, I can assure you by Monday, people will have taken to the streets. Okay, so NLC is using the chip it has. It's a dangerous chip. It's like eating from the lion's mouth. It has the chance to hold the presidency at the throat, but it also, in holding the presidency, is making the people go through more pain. And once people start realizing that, are you fighting for us or for yourselves? Once that comes into play, goodwill goes. So, but for now, they are still being hailed on a few sectors, but everybody knows 494,000 will not happen in 100 years.
All right, let's quickly take this call. 494,000 indeed. I don't think it will ever happen. Hello, good morning.
Hello, sorry, my network was bad the other time.
It's good to have you call back.
Yes, so let me finalize my, just like Analyst has already stolen my idea. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
That's okay.
You know, like I was saying, this NLC of a thing, if they really want the masses to really support them, if they are really fighting for us, like the host is saying, if you increase for the state or the federal government, what about the private organization? So what research has the NLC done, and which way they think is best the government can do it, that almost 80% of Nigerian workers, private, whatever you want to call them, can benefit from this? So without them doing this, they are just selfish, only for the federal government that they want to achieve this issue. Then again, I would have expected the Labour NLC in this their track to say that if the all government expenses, if it is not reduced, we are going on indefinite strike. This will attract all Nigerians to support them. You understand?
Absolutely.
But this their strike is just mere selfishness. So if, in fact, 70,000 is okay for the minimum wage, if they do not accept this, we dare not see anybody on the street or lock any of our organization, because Nigeria will react. And finally, the best thing Nigeria can do is to go back to regionalism, regional economy, so that in all these things, you are still on this seat, there's no way you can pursue other states to pay what they cannot afford. So you can't expect me living in Lagos, somebody living in Zamfara. We are collecting, for example, 70,000 naira. I spend more in Lagos. What is the person living in Zamfara or somewhere in Osun spending? You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So this is where issue of regionalism should come in, so that each region will be able to weigh themselves. So other than this, Labour should be very careful. 70,000 is enough. Otherwise, we will also react to this nonsense they are trying to play that they are talking about, because they don't do anything that benefits us. Let them strike, because government has not reduced the governance expenses. If that is it, we will support them. Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
All right, thank you. God bless you too. He just touched on the issue of regionalism. You know, I've always thought about it, that what happens in those states that are very impoverished? Do you still say, for instance, government says I'll pay 494,000 naira, and maybe somebody who lives in a high costing or high maintenance state gets the same amount, and someone who stays in a very low maintenance state gets the same amount? Should we have maybe regional amounts that people get to earn, or would it now seem like, oh, there's some sort of discrimination? Maybe some persons would now prefer to live in states where they have to earn higher than, you know, states where they have to earn lower. What do you think of that aspect?
Yeah, it works anyway. You see, in the bank, we had what was called cost of living adjustments. It was not paid. We used to call it a COLA back in the day. So there's some branches in some places that get 60,000 added to their pay. Some people got 42,000. Some people got 18,000. Some people got. So it was not it was based on where you live and where you work. But you see, like you also said, on the other hand of that, if you think the pay is not good for you in Lagos, then transfer to Zamfara State. So these are the challenges. We need to have a regional country. To me, that's the only way out of all of this mess. We need to have Southwest working for Southwest, doing their things. Like we said off air, I would love to put, if not for security challenges, I think the area in Nigeria that would do best in industries and factories is the Northeast and the Northwest, because they love to do routine work. They can do one work for the next 7 years, just one item. Those are the things you need in factory life. You can see them living in batches while they are working. So they are not looking for luxury. They can work in a factory for. I passed one of the Kaduna factories. I saw a guy enter a car for more than 20 kilometers and was working in that factory. He said that factory only one factory has employed over 400 people from a span of over 40 kilometers of village life. So that's one factory placed in that place. People are not coming from Abuja town to work there. The workers are coming from within the localities. So that makes boys in the areas earn. That makes them do less theft. That makes so those boys get married.
Of course.
That reduces ladies.
Have a good life.
Yeah, so that builds family life. That builds other incomes. That makes shops be able to sell. You see, these are the things we're saying. The government must regionalize us, must allow us, drag in investments, bring these investments to our base, and make sure that these investments are in localities so that it builds the community there. I've told them that better buy up land here, because in the next 5 years, all the price of land here will be ×4. So these are the things. If a person had a small land there, he doesn't need the government to dash him money. The moment that factory has come to 2 kilometers from his land, the value of his land has gone up. These are the triggers that can push the country in the right direction.
All right, we really do hope that that actually happens. Maybe they will consider it, since the Senate is actually sitting and talking to, you know, tighten law against strike. Maybe they'll begin to look at other aspects and how to also, because these days I feel like we just look at the surface of issues. We don't look at tackling them from the very root cause. And like our caller said, he said maybe if Labour had adjusted their intentions, or if they look at it from the broader perspective, maybe Nigerians would have supported them more. And I totally agree. Now there's this topic that says vandalism, federal government to deploy security operatives to second Niger bridge. Do you think that we would ever have a situation where there will be no vandalism anytime soon, especially with the economic situation of the country?
This is a very, very sad topic, because I've cried about it for more than 2-3 years. You would see a person walk up to a bridge and remove this circular songs that's meant to be covered, and then when they want to do any maintenance, they'll remove it, and put it back. Now they have removed almost all of that. There are places in which they go in Edun State and lose the solar light to sell for scrap. You go to a bridge and lose the bridge to sell for
iron. Did you see the person that was losing the runway light the other time? Until date, nothing has happened. No record of the person. He hasn't been apprehended.
No, so this is beyond poverty. This is madness. This is infrastructure that is needed to develop your place, and somebody is pilfering on that infrastructure, and we say he's poor. Yes, I understand he's poor, but not every poor person becomes a thief. This is our commonwealth. We need this infrastructure to run. We need this infrastructure to attract more investments. That bridge was done so that we attract more investments. The moment we allow every part of that bridge pilfered, we'll start all over again. And they will now say the government did bridge 4 years ago. Why is the government doing the bridge now? We pilfered the whole bridge. So for me, they should put strong laws. Yes, I think they should add to the contracts a means to monitor it with CCTV. Of course, they can also pilfer that again. So I really don't know how we're going to solve this.
You know, because you said a project that is supposed to bring development to your community.
Yes.
Do you think that people do not understand some of these things because there is no proper communication, because people are not well enlightened? Some persons don't see these things that way. They don't even know the essence of some projects in their community. So do you think that there is an error from the aspect of the government? Because I think we have a National Orientation Agency. Yes. Isn't this supposed to be part of their responsibilities? Going to the nooks and crannies of every society, enlightening them, giving them all the information that they need to know. Like, for instance, some persons did not even know that essential services are against the law if essential services actually go on strike. Yes. Some persons are even backing labor. Oh, it's good. They did what they did. It's fine. It's this, it's that. Some persons don't even know what the law says. So, yes. Do you think that the government is lacking in this aspect? And that's why, because in a situation where you do not know that you're committing, well, not because people don't know that they are committing a crime, but if they do not know the detriment of what they are doing, they feel like it is good. It is good. People do it every day. We can also do it. You
see, in the last 8 years, I have said that one of the greatest departments or agencies to fund is the NOA. NOA is orientation. I've been there, I've submitted a proposal, and they keep complaining they are not seeing us in the light right. We don't have enough. How till people understand that this solar light you stole is the reason why you guys will continue be poor. We must understand Commonwealth. Commonwealth is the thing that is least said about in Nigeria. Form that agency. If you act a film that supports Commonwealth, that shows Commonwealth in the right light, that shows punishment for stealing public things, we will fund that film. We will give you a part of that film, 5 million. If you do a skit that supports no stealing of bridges and all of that, we will give you 500K. The whole of social media will be full of content pushing against it. Gives incentives for these things, just a bit. Let it be. You see, it doesn't have to come from government always. Government. People see the government as the enemy. So let it come from celebrities that they know. For example, let me just call a name. Toke wearing a shirt with something like that on. You pay her 1 million. She goes away. The more people see this, the more it becomes. You can't do some things in China. I want you to understand that in Japan, a 3-year-old child arranges their shoe. Go watch their videos. When the 2-year-old comes from school, they cross the road by themselves in Japan. Because once it gets to the junction, every car stops and the children cross. People don't take their children to school in Japan. The children go to school. When the children are at school, the children feed themselves. The children cook for themselves. They wash their plates. We have a very wrong culture. Our culture says, once I make it, to hell with all of you. These are the problems we have as a nation.
You know, this reminds me of something that they tell you in driving school, that you're the only sane person on the road. Every other person is abnormal. Is that a good orientation?
A friend of mine went to Malaysia, schooled for 4 years, and then he came back. So he was driving me. I was in his car. We were going somewhere. And then the guy just kept on wondering why people are pressing horn. I said, it's normal now. The president said, no, he has not. For 4 years, nobody disturbs him with horn as they're driving. Somebody wants to enter your front, you allow him. It's not a fight. In Nigeria, the more someone wants to enter your front, the more you're accelerating, the more we see a traffic light in Nigeria, and the traffic light says 5, 4. In other countries, they slow down and stop. In Nigeria, when the light says 5, 4, that's the time to accelerate more to beat the light. All of these madnesses have to be stopped.
You know, because we're still discussing this issue of vandalism, I'm looking at that second Niger bridge, a new project that was delivered just in December.
Yes.
And we already have vandals. And now the government is promising to tighten security around it. We know, you already know that there are antecedents of vandalism in this country. So why just maybe put just random security to watch over it? Why do we always, like emphasis on always, take reactive actions and not proactive?
Okay, let me face the 700-kilometer highway, coastal highway. There's compensation in that. There's bridges. There's side rail. There's gutters. Now imagine if they now added security to that, and they now added CCTV. When people hear the cost of those things, it now looks overly added, outrageous. You see, so sometimes they have to wait for something like this to happen, and then they now make a proactive step to stop it. We have suffered it in electricity. Once there's no light, people go and vandalize pipes and lines. I can't understand why I will risk my life for that, and some of them even die in the process, get electrocuted there. But yet, so I feel that this one of the things we were seeing in Nigeria when the economy was good. You see, I want to come from two angles.
Okay. When
the economy was good, we didn't see this amount of madness to sell things. People had decent jobs. When my father graduated in 1977, he had a job waiting for him in First Bank. He became one of the top officers in First Bank. My mother finished from teaching Polytechnic as a copper, and she started working there. She got a car loan. She had a car instantly. So
those are the people that lived in Nigeria and dream.
Yes. When they were in universities, they used to wash their clothes for them. You go out and come back and meet your clothes laundered and folded and kept in your box. So there was a Nigeria functioning that people didn't have these horrible characters. And that's what I'm trying to say. I want to give it a balance. People didn't have these horrible characters who are still managed. But the degree of poverty and struggle in Nigeria has made people just, let me do anything to eat. So there's a balance. I pray the government improves before the next 2 years. Let the life of the common man be easier. Let the common man be able to afford things. Then they'll become more humane. And then at that point, anybody we catch stealing our bridge, they should shoot them. Thank you.
Anyway, they even said there are compensations. So anybody found that has relevant information will get compensated. I wonder why it is now that we're talking about that. Anyway, let's look at another story before we go. In fact, very lately, there's been a lot of arrest of journalists. In fact, people are beginning to wonder, are you sure we still have press freedom in this country? Especially because you will just find that maybe a journalist might just go to the field to do something and they're missing. It will take you days to even know that they're probably in police custody or something. And it's been under the guise of Cyber Security Act.
Okay.
Let's get your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I want to praise KAFTAN TV and many of the stations that actually go out to look for news. But I want to bring the attention of many online platforms that don't go anywhere to look for any news. They just sit down, wait for any rumor they see on social media. Like a guy who was arrested last week, he just outrageously claimed that a celebrity called E-Money slept with Pope's wife. And if that guy had not gotten him arrested, he would have not come out to say it was a joke. He was just doing it to gain content on social media. How can you do such libatious things and not just say you are just using it to get likes? What is likes?
Defamation.
So, yes, this is clear defamation. That's excessive. So we have a lot of people who don't sit on news. They just want clickbaits. They just want people to click on their sites. So they just say, Wike stole 700 billion. And you say, you are quoting something that you know you have no information about. And then somebody else who saw it just picks it up from there without doing any fact check. And then post it on his own page. Then somebody has now adjusted in and then fleshes the story more.
Flesh indeed.
So it's
okay, because
madness. Let's be honest.
Because you made me laugh now. Let's quickly look at what Nigerians think about the national grid collapse on social media. Like I said we're going to get back there. So there's this post that I saw this morning on social media. I believe my producer will put that up right now. There are comments. This one says, "Shey national grid don't enter coma, abi why they never bring lights?" And another person responds, "The person way off national grid yesterday, no knowing way to on and back." So more responses. It says, "Restore our lights, please, and don't near national grid again. All that for what? To go back and negotiate. Don't go near that national grid again," in caps. And then another person is responding, "Shebi fights don't finish between NLC and the government to put on national grid can be wahala. Abeg, who swear for Nigeria? So off national grid is one button, to on it back now demands 15 live goats and elephant sweat. Abeg, who know where national grid they abeg?" And then this one is saying, "Apparently it seemed as if the national grid was already collapsing before NLC and TUC strike shuts it down. Because I don't understand again, federal government and Labour don't agree to suspend the strike. Why haven't they restored the lights?" They say, "Where is that person that put off national grid? Please put it on immediately." Somebody once said Nigeria is a comedy channel in heaven. Nigeria is a comedy channel in heaven.
I agree with you 100%, because we make comedy out of everything. Just give us 2 hours. So if the matter drags for 2 days, a film will come out.
Music, quickly.
Just keep the matter on for 2 days. There will be a film.
There's a national grid challenge. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate you, Engineer Toba Owojaiye, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you for your time today.
I'm glad being here. Thank you.
All right, viewers, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. We really hope you learned a thing or two. I'll see you again later. I am Olamide Alhassan. Bye for now.